Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to the Trinity Stamps YouTube channel. For today's video, I am paper crafting, but I am not making a card. I'm going to stamp something that will be a home decor piece. This is it right here, and I'm going to be using one of the newest stamps from the latest release. This is the Porta-Hello stamp set and coordinating die set. This is a 4x4 set, but it has dies to cut out every single thing. Now here is the piece that inspired me. This is a painting that my daughter did in her art class. She's a really awesome art teacher. That would be me. And I am using some sheet music that I found at a thrift store to replicate this kind of technique of a image over the top of sheet music. So now I'm stamping the Porta-Hello stamp with some VersaFine Onyx Black ink. Once that's dry, I'm going to be coloring this in with colored pencils. I tested out the colors I wanted to use on the side of the paper, and then I want to make sure I start with sharp pencils. So I went ahead and sharpened them, and now let's do some coloring. First of all, a little disclaimer, I'm not an expert colorist. I'm not an expert with colored pencils. I love to color and it brings me joy, so I do that. But I do know a few things, and that is that I like to start out coloring with a very light layer, because if you come in with a heavy hand, you're going to fill in the tooth of the paper, and it's going to be really hard to blend colors together. And so that's what I know. So I have two shades of red here that I'm starting with, and I'll go back and forth between those two colors a couple times, which is kind of like how you would color with Copic markers, but it's each time I'm adding more pencil and blending them out a little bit more. And then I do want to darken out one side like my daughter did in her painting. So I have two different browns that I'm using. One's a lighter brown and one's like a really dark brown. And that's going to give me that heavy shadow on that side. You can see here, this almost looks like a black pencil, but it's a really dark brown pencil. And so I'm just using that to add in the shadows. And then I will go in again and make any areas darker now because I've got all my colors down, and then I can really intensify what I want to. So I will bring back the reds and blend with those a little bit more. And this is just, it's supposed to be fun and relaxing. Like, your pencils should just really lightly go over the paper. You don't have to grip your pencil hard or press hard. It should be relaxing and enjoyable. That's what I have to remind myself, because sometimes I really clench my pencil. I don't know if anybody else does that, but I try to make this a relaxing activity. I have a blending stump now that I'm using to blend out that colored pencil. Just softens the lines, and I find it really helpful. Okay, so for the leaves, I'm going to do some very similar coloring, but I'm only using two colors here, just a darker green and a lighter green. And the smaller areas, you just don't need as much back and forth between the colors or as many colors, so that makes it pretty quick and easy. I did the same thing for these little flowers. On the petals, I'm doing two different shades of yellow, a darker and a lighter yellow. And then for the center, I have I think it's burnt ochre. Yeah, that's the one. It's kind of an orangish brown, and I don't know about you, but this image really reminds me of like 70s embroidered something, like it's embroidered on a towel or a pillow. And so I just felt like that burnt ochre color was going to be a perfect little touch to give it kind of that little bit of a 70s feel, which is when I was born, so I like those kinds of things. And now I'm just using that same burnt ochre color, and I'm going to give a little bit of a shadow all the way around the outside of this image, and it's really going to make it pop. Now, one thing I love about doing this technique of putting an image over the top of the sheet music is that the music shows through the image. I think that's just so fun and so cool, and a fun kind of thing that you could hang up on the wall. So here I am using the blending stump to soften out the lines of that shadow there, and there's a close-up look at my coloring. All right, now I am putting this in an embroidery hoop, which also, by the way, I believe we got at the thrift store. My daughter's had it in her room, and I asked her, could I use this and make something for you? Because she loves mushrooms, and then you can hang it up, and if you don't like it, you can change it out later. But She loved it, so I'm a happy mom. I'm going to glue this to the back of the smaller hoop. So I traced the larger hoop. So my circle is going to be bigger than the smaller hoop. So I'll add the glue to the ring itself. I'll flip over my stamped piece and center the wooden hoop on there. And then I'm just going to let that dry. I put some heavy blocks on it. Once it's dry, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to go around the outer edge and just make little snips all the way around. And that's going to make it easy for this paper to fold down around that hoop so we can put the top hoop on. Very quick and easy to do. And there I'm just folding everything back so it will go into the hoop a little bit more easily than if I just tried to press the hoop down over it. But I got to add a little bit of something on here. So I have some antique linen distress ink and a blending brush, and I'm going to put that just like a dusting of that color around the edge. And this is going to give kind of a white glow around those mushrooms. So I have the shadow around the mushrooms and a shadow around the outside, but in between it will be this nice bright, well, you know, the paper's yellowing, so it's not quite white, but it is just, it's perfect, right? The little vintage touch. So I took the same distress ink in vintage photo, yes, and use that to splatter on, and then I'm taking some white distress paint and splattering that on as well. This paint is very loose already, so I had barely any water on my brush, and I'm going to splatter some white on there. It'll dry back a little bit lighter than it looks when it first goes down, but it just adds that little bit of texture and interest there. So once that was dry, you see how easy it was to put that outer hoop down onto that paper. I did have a little piece that crinkled up, so I fixed that and then tightened it down. So easy. So easy to do. It was easier for me than cross stitch. So there we have it. And I wanted to add a little bow at the top. So I am doing like a triple bow, and I'm just wrapping around my fingers in a figure 8 3 times, and then I'll take the end, wrap it around the center of that bow, and like tie a little knot. Just pull it back and forth to get it tight, and then I have this fun 3 triple bow. We'll call it a triple bow. Yes, I've made these for years and I really like this look, especially with twine. It's so good with twine. All right, I'm going to stick that down with a couple glue dots right there at the top of the hoop, and that'll help. I think 2 will help hold it down better. I'm always, you know, I'm always worried about good adhesion. All right, now I have these embellishments from Trinity Stamps that are, sometimes you get like a little baggie of them with your order, and I knew I had like a yellow flower, and it seems to go really well with the flowers in this image. So I put one in the center of the bow, and then the other bag had some little bees in it. So if there's anything like this at the Trinity Stamps shop right now, I will link them for you below. But you know, you got to use up those little freebies that people send you, right? So that's what I'm doing here. I think it was the perfect touch to finish off this little home decor piece, and my daughter's going to hang it in her room. She has kind of a cottage theme with mushrooms and plants and things just like this. So it's going to be great for her room. You can check out all the supplies I used in the description box below. And if you would like more inspiration from Trinity Stamps, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram too. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you all again very soon on the next video. Happy stamping! Bye!